Yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I hope you're well, and I'm Get Good Guy, and today we're talking about an interesting topic and something that seems to be heavily focused upon in FPS communities for different reasons, some positive and some negative, and that topic is this: KD ratio. Now this is a topic I'm discussing today for a few reasons, as mentioned before. One is to document a nice milestone for me by reaching a 3+ KD. It's by no means the highest out there, and we'll cover that later, but having had very little experience of Battlefield prior to Battlefield 1 is something that I didn't expect at all. Secondly is because I imagine people will be interested in the topic, and thirdly to give my opinion on the subject. So we'll be splitting this into 3 basic sections: how I did it, why this game is more susceptible to high KDs at the upper end of the skill spectrum, and then ultimately why it doesn't even matter. Now just quickly, if you've seen some of my previous videos, you may be aware that I've mentioned I didn't use the scout class, and I needed to change that. Well, I went and hit rank 10, but didn't really record anything, so I jumped on with some friends, hit record, and here are some of the clips. If you want a video for this aggressive sniper build, then say so in the comments so I know it's of interest, and I'll produce one sometime very soon. If you'd like an alternative build in the meantime, then I'll link you in the description to Dame Over's video, as he's been using his loadout to pretty good success for a little while now, and it's worth a watch. So let's get on with it. Here are the main points pertaining to how I reached a 3 KD. We'll open with situational and long-term engagement awareness. Sometimes being 3-0 5 seconds from now is more valuable than being 4-1 in 5 seconds due to pushing for a kill and being picked off straight after. Staying alive to defend a point long term can at times garner more kills and also a better chance of winning the game. Game sense is something that is built up over time and is one of the key components of being a successful player. Then we have basic gun skill from years of playing FPS games. Literally years I've spent a lot of my life playing these games. This isn't something that changes or develops overnight. If you do the right things and continue to work at it, then your skills will improve. It's a long-term thing. It may require you to do worse for a while in order to get out of your comfort zone and improve as a player. Getting beaten short-term to be a better player long-term is preferable to not pushing yourself and staying at your current level. We'll follow this up with positioning. Your performance in this game is highly determined by your positional knowledge and skill set. There are all manner of sightlines, cover spots, head glitches, environmental distractions, etc, etc. Using them to your advantage is important, and I'll likely make a detailed video on this as well at a later date. Next is a positive mental attitude, having fun. Now this isn't always 100% possible, at least not for myself, and we'll come to that later in the video, but letting things go that annoy you or seem unfair helps your play. Playing on tilt is detrimental and should be avoided whenever possible. At the end of the day, it's a game. It is supposed to be fun. The final key point for how I did it is my choice of game mode. This game has vastly different modes. Now for some, the vehicle usage in the game modes such as Conquest can provide them with a much higher KD than if they were to focus on gunplay. For others, the random elements of Conquest can have completely the opposite effect. My strengths lie in gunfights. My preference for the smaller game modes plays into this as I avoid being killed by multiple people I can't see from every angle under the sun, or a vehicle completely outmatching me for killing power and attempting to take me out. These are things you find in Conquest. I play it a bit, but I usually stick to the 12v12 game modes. So let's move on to why Battlefield 1 is susceptible to higher KDs than most other FPS titles. First we have revives. Revives sway the average kill death ratio in an upwards fashion. If you kill someone, you get a +1 in your kill column. If they get revived, their deaths stay the same. This is unusual and alters the overall statistics. Beyond that we have vehicles. There are people out there who will have a far higher KD than myself. Some will be because they simply have incredible gun skill, but the majority will likely be people who either use vehicles all the time or are very good at using vehicles. Most FPS games don't have vehicles to the extent that Battlefield does, and it has a large impact. I see a good many expert pilots out there who have 3 or 4 KDs. They're a huge asset to have in your team and can achieve some massive games due to their alternative abilities. Next up is the skill gap of Battlefield due to how much more is involved in doing well on this game than other FPS titles. I would wager that your new player, for lack of a better term, will likely have an easier time on something like Call of Duty than Battlefield. It's just the nature of the game. We also have not respawning in at the end of the game if you so choose. If you aren't aware of this, if your team is set for a win and you die right at the end of the game, you can choose not to respawn, thus avoiding that death on your scorecard and you still pick up the win. Of course you can choose to do this if you're losing, but I don't advise that, as you spawning back in could help to sway the result back in your favour if things are close. I'll end this point by mentioning an apparent lack of strict skill-based matchmaking. If we take Destiny as an example, if you're at the upper end of the skill spectrum, you play similar players to yourself. On Battlefield, I can't see this happening. Perhaps due to the amount of players needed for a game of Battlefield, it would screw the connection up too much. Are you hearing this, Bungie? Either way, I have a far easier time killing people on Battlefield than on Destiny, Overwatch, Halo, or pretty much any other FPS game you care to mention. So, now let's go with ultimately why it doesn't matter what your KD is. And this is arguably the most important point. Because having a high KD doesn't automatically make you a better player than someone else. It's a good indicator of skill, but it isn't a hard rule. For example, someone with a 2 KD may give your team a better chance at success than a player with a 3 KD due to their overall skill set. Perhaps they're a better objective player, or they can kill more quickly, or they're a fantastic medic, the list goes on. Having raw killing power plus the ability to stay alive is very valuable, but it isn't necessarily the be all and end all. Also personally, the fact that once I got close to the 3 KD mark, I started to have less fun. This is connected to what I said earlier about a positive mental attitude. Most of the time I'm fine, but in this situation, it was having an issue, or causing me an issue. My ability to focus on the positives became impaired, as I desired more and more to achieve at least a 3 KD each game. This meant that anything under that felt like a failure, when it just simply isn't. At the end of the day, it's a statistic that affects nothing else other than a number on a screen. Breaking out of that cycle and just trying to play well in each game and win was very important, and now I've achieved the KD, I feel it doesn't matter if it drops in order for me to be more effective and have more fun. Because ultimately the final point is that it's just about having fun. Enjoy yourself. It doesn't matter what your KD is, people. If you want to improve it, then fine. Do the things I said, but don't fixate on it. Try to improve as a player and have fun while doing it. It's just a number. I haven't received a medal or any kind of financial prize for achieving it, and you won't either. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Laters.